Welcome back to the online sessions on MCC. In the previous sessions, we discussed about the various multiple access techniques such as FDMA, TDMA, SDMA, and CDMA. So in today's session, we try to go some more depth into the CDMA technology, because CDMA technology is going to lie between the 2G and 4G technology. So whenever we want to transmit huge amounts of data and try to provide services to many users, so the companies have used a technology called as CDMA technology. So CDMA is also going to be a popular technology nowadays, and many companies are using the CDMA technology. So therefore, let us try to go with some more idea about the CDMA technology. So we have in the examination that you should write about the concept of the technology, and in terms of showing it pictorially how the particular coding technique has been done and what are the advantages, disadvantages and applications of all this coding techniques you have to really write in the examination. So therefore, let us try to go some more into the depth of the techniques now. So already we discussed about what do you mean by multiplexing. So this is what the scenario that we can think of multiplexing now. Many mobile users or many mobile stations want to communicate to a single base station by using the limited channel resources. So that is what the context of the multiple access techniques we normally going to have. So multiple users want to communicate in a common geographical area is basically where in a common this is what a this if you talk that this is going to be a circle of the region of accessibility of the base station. So here multiple users want to communicate in a common geographical area via a single base station. So that is what the context of a multiple access techniques. So if you think this in terms of a cellular mobile communication, so cellular mobile communication comes under what? Wireless communications, definitely. So therefore, many people want to talk to their other recipient cell phones. So each phone must communicate with the base station. Say for example, mobile phone one want to talk to mobile phone three, and these two should compulsorily talk to each other via this base station. Via this base station. That is what this particular point all about. So many people want to talk to their other cell phones, other recipients, then each phone must communicate with the base station. So here, how should we share the scarce resources, some of the scarce resources, so that as many users as possible can communicate simultaneously, is what where we normally bring about this concept called multiple access. If only one mobile user is if only one mobile user is using the base station at a time, then there is no problem for us. But if multiple mobile stations want to talk to the base station simultaneously, then the problem comes. Now, in order to address that issue, we normally implement the multiple access techniques. And we discussed in the very last classes about the FDMA. Let us go in short about FDMA. The example of FDMA, as I was talking to you, is going to be the AMPS technology used by the US government. So the first generation technology it is going to be, and which used around 30 kilohertz for each user. So that was the first mobile technology using which analog communications has been has been done using the AMS technology, where each user is going to get accommodated with 30 kilohertz. So here the problem, if you see, user 1 is occupied 30 kilohertz, user 2 is going to occupy 30 kilohertz frequency, user 3 is occupy 30 kilohertz frequency. In between the user 1, user 2 and user 3, there are going to be some guard bands left free, just to avoid the interference between the two users. And on y-axis, if you see, it is going to be the radiated power or received power signals. So this is what the thing we normally going to have, and this is going to be the utilization of the time period. So every user is going to use a fixed amount of time period for its communication. That means all users are normally going to use the same amount of time period. So here the time period is going to be same for all the users. That means simultaneously these three users can communicate in a given time. Say for example, a time period, if you consider from say, for example, we consider the time period as something like 3 minutes to say 5 minutes is a time period. Now, if from 3 minutes to 5 minutes time period, all the users are going to access the spectrum, but with different frequency bands. So here all this is 30 plus some god bands plus 30 plus some god band frequency plus 30. So if you consider this god band is going to be say some 10 kilohertz, so it's going to be 40 kilohertz. 40 plus 30, it's going to be 70. 70 plus 10, 80. So 80 plus 30 is going to be 110 kilohertz. So up to here, it is going to occupy around 110 kilohertz bandwidth on the frequency spectrum. Right. Now, by looking into this particular system of communication or technology of communication, you can easily see that the bandwidth requirement, the bandwidth which is used to support this technology is going to be really huge. As the number of users increases, the frequency band should also increase. That is what the drawback of this particular FDMA kind of a technology. So always we will be running short of the resources, especially the bandwidth resources. So therefore, this particular technology has failed to support for many number of users. So that's what the problems here. So what are the advantages of this? What are the pros of this particular thing? Advantages of this particular system? Very simple to design system, and it is going to definitely support the multiple users, but not many users. So it's normally preferred for narrowband systems. Narrowband means what? The frequency band cannot be used more. If you keep on using more, then the number of supporting number of users are also going to decrease. Therefore, it is preferred for only narrowband communications. That means the frequency band we use cannot be used more than 30 kilohertz. If we use, it's not like we cannot use, we can use, but if you use the number of, if you use the bandwidth, then definitely the support given to or the service given to number of users is simply going to decrease, come down. That's why it is preferred only for narrow band applications. So that is what one of the thing, one side is advantage, other side is going to be disadvantage. And synchronization problem, synchronization between different users is going to be very easy for us because there are god bands in between. So the base station can synchronize between many users very easily to provide the communication, because everybody are talking to the base station in a different bands. So therefore base station is already registered with the appropriate bands, and accordingly the base station is going to handle all these users running with the different frequency bands. So no interference among the users in a cell. Here three users have been shown. So there is no interference among the users of the cell. Now all these three users are using the same cell site. See, this is the cell site. All three users are using the same cell site. Now there is no interference. Why? Because of the god bands. So the interference is simply avoided and different frequency bands are there between the two users. So therefore the interference is simply avoided. Next is, what are the disadvantages here? Same thing now, narrowband interference. Now here we cannot really go with more, we cannot give more space or more frequency band for the god bands. So the god band frequency band is going to be very less, maximum of 2 kilohertz. So therefore there is always a chance of jumping the signal from one user point to another user point. Okay, so thereby normally go with some amount of the interference. So narrowband interference will be a problem here. If that really going to happen, we really cannot avoid that particular error. The next one is going to be the spectrum is going to be static spectrum allocation. So that means the spectrum has to be allocated before we start providing the service. Once we start providing the service, the allocation of spectrum is going to be fixed. It really cannot change it. It cannot be changed. So that is what static spectrum allocation. You cannot change the spectrum allocation based on the demand. So services, whatever we are doing, cannot be improved because of this static spectrum allocation. So frequency reuse. The frequency reuse is a problem here in the case of the FDMA kind of a technique. The frequency slot used for user 1, say user 3, user 2 cannot be used for some other users. Why? Because it's going to be static, it's going to be fixed for every user. So frequency reuse concept is going to be a problem for us. So high quality, high Q analog filters or large Godband filters are required here. So that means the tuning level should be very high. The tuning for each and every user at the base station should be very high. So therefore you should have a high Q filter circuits at the base stations. So that is what another drawback. So obviously whenever we're going to have some system, it's going to have some pros and cons, right? So we should just figure out all this and we can just simply write down there. Then to overcome these difficulties, another possibility is going to be the TDMA technique. See here now, if you employ with TDMA technique, what happens? This time has been, see this Z axis is along the time axis, if you imagine. So along the time axis, number of slots have been given. Say 1, 2, 3 slots have been given. For user 4, 5, 6, 7. For user 7, 7, 8, 9. So these are the time slots which are given on the Z axis. So that means every user, that means so many users have been given with the time slots. Now by simply allocating under the same frequency band in this 30 kilohertz band, more number of users can be allocated along the time slots. So thereby, if you see this carefully, we are increasing the capacity of the system. The number of users who can simultaneously access the base station is simply increasing here in the case of the TDMA technology. Okay. So that is what the advantage. That means the capacity of the system can be improved in comparison with FDMA in TDMA technique. So that means what? It is going to partition the time for each and for many users here on the time scale. So users take turns using the channel. Now here users are going to take turns using the channel. Different channels are going to come with different turns. So this particular technology is going to be very popular technology, and which is going to be which comes under the 2G technology. Okay, GSM technology has become into reality because of the TDMA concept. So used the same 30 kilohertz channels, but with the 3 users in this particular figure, 3 users are sharing them. All 3 users are sharing the same 30 kilohertz time slot. So that's the advantage you can just simply observe here. And the GSM technology, global system for mobile communication, has 8 slots per 270 kilohertz. So every 270 kilohertz band has been divided into 8 different time slots. That means the 270 kilohertz bandwidth can accommodate 8 different users for communicating with respect to the base station. So that is what the GSM technology has incorporated, and it is really working fine, running successfully now. So for for voice communications nowadays, people are preferring the vendors are preferring the 2G communication even today. Okay, so therefore the GSM is going to be a popular technology even for today. Now, what are the advantages? This technology is going to better suited for the digital systems. You can process the TDMA using the digital systems, because digital systems are going to process the discrete signals or digital signals. So therefore, the processing can be improved if you employ the digital systems. So that can be done by using, if you employ the TDMA kind of a technology. Now here, higher capacity can be achieved. You can just observe here in this particular graph that higher capacity has been improved. The capacity of the system has been improved here. Next is relaxes need for high Q filters. So here there is some relaxation in designing the high Q filters, but here the only problem is synchronization is still going to be there. There should be a synchronization between one user to the other user in the same given frequency band. That has to be there. That is a problem. So that is a disadvantage here. So coming to the con side, strict synchronization and guard time needed. So here there should be a guard band frequency between these two. There should be a guard time here. There should be some time left between the user 1 and user 2 in the same frequency band. So there should be a guard band in the frequency side. There should be a guard band in the time domain side, obviously. So that's what the basic problem which we're going to have. So still susceptible to jamming and other cell interferences. So here, as the number of users have increased, all these users can simultaneously transmit their information. When they transmit the information, what happens? Other cell interference is going to increase here in this particular type of a system. And it is susceptible to jamming also. That means you can simply stop the signal communication from other mobile stations here. So that is the reason why we require equalizers. We probably require equalizers at the base station in order to communicate effectively to all the users. So these are the various disadvantages of TDMA. Next question comes, what are the possibilities of thinking beyond than the TDMA technology? That means here, even if you try to accommodate the more number of users, but still the problem of synchronization between various users is also going to be there. So we have to try to eliminate this, and analog filters has to be there at the definitely at the base station. So that also has to be avoided. Okay, so these two are the performance bottlenecks for the TDMA technologies. So here we should think about certain aspects of the limitations on TDMA technology. As to overcome the limitations, we need to think about the how do we eliminate the need for tight synchronization. How do we eliminate the need for tight synchronization among many different users? That is what one of the performance bottleneck in TDMA. We have to eliminate the need for tight synchronization among the many different users. Okay. So every user has to be given equal chance or equal opportunity of accessing the base station. In the case of TDMA, that is achieved only by tight synchronization among many users by the base station. Now this has to be somewhat adjusted or removed or eliminated. So one should eliminate the need for expensive analog filters at the base station. May have favorable impact on capacity. If you really do these two, do we have an impact on capacity of the systems? So we should really think about. Now the question arises, how do we separate the users? How do we separate the users to achieve these two above objectives? When you separate really, won't they really interfere? That is another problem which we normally going to come across. Now there, one more possibility we have extended in the last class, that CDMA kind of a technology. So in the CDMA technology, we normally implement this with a CDMA means code division multiple access technology. Code division multiple access technology means what? Each mobile user is going to given one separate code to communicate with the base station. See, all the users has to communicate with the base station. The basic architecture is going to be the same architecture that we discussed. So all the users will be communicating to base station. Base station will in turn will communicate to the final recipient. So base station is going to be the intermediary master, which is normally going to be responsible for providing communication between two or many mobile users. Okay. Now therefore, what we can have is like we can implement a CDMA technology, code division multiple access technology, for k number of users or n number of users. So here a system has been assumed, which is going to be the basic CDMA receiver at the base station. So at the base station is normally going to receive the different codes of the different users, and all of them are processed separately based on the user performance, user capacity. Okay, so based on the user, all these different codes are simply processed. Now, what is received at the receiver? So the signal received at the receiver is nothing but is equal to y of t. Now, many signals are being transmitted. When many signals are being transmitted, how do we normally going to process all the many signals? This s of t suffix k. Suffix k is for k number of users. Okay, in with respect to time period. So all these signals are transmitted for this s of k is known as signals transmitted for k number of users. And when they are being processed, when they are being transmitted, they are going to get transmitted to the channel. So if the channel is going to be wide channel, you're going to have a impulse response of the wide channel. If it is going to be wireless channel, you're going to have the we're going to think in terms of the impulse response of the channel impulse response of the channel impulse response for the k users. So here the signal has to be convoluted with the impulse response of the channel. So based on the characteristics of the channel, the output that is being received, or the signal that is being received at the receiver is normally going to change. So here the channel characteristics is going to play a vital role. That is why for analysis purpose, what we do, we always treat the channel going to be the wireless channel, and the response of the channel is treated as the impulse response always for our analysis purpose theoretically. So therefore the h of t is taken as the, what is h of t stands for? H is nothing but the channel response parameter. So therefore h of t is known as the channel impulse response for k users. So these two has to be multiplied for k number of users. So see here, this y of t is going to combine with many number of users. So here in this example, say some k is equal to 1 has been taken, but in the real time, many users, signals transmitted from many users will be reaching the receiver. That is called base station. So plus noise signal. So every electromagnetic spectrum is normally going to have a noise. Free space is going to have noise, which you already know, and noise is going to get added to the signal here. Now what happens at the base station? So the base station is going to receive the signal based on the CDMA code, which is embedded in the signal coming from different users, are simply going to get decoded, and based on that particular signal coding so CDMA coding, that signal is simply going to get processed by using the appropriate software design techniques. That means here hardware part has been reduced, whereas the software part has been simply increased, because hardware, once the hardware is established by investing crores of rupees, we really cannot change the hardware. So whatever that you can able to do, you can do easily on the software things. Okay, that means something like using of apps in the mobile phones. You can simply uninstall an app, old app, you can install a new app. Similar to that, if you have a software kind of a adjustment here or upgradation here, we can easily really achieve the high performance in the systems. So that is simply done by using the code division multiple access. Okay, a pseudo random code is generated at the transmitter. That pseudo random code is the code which is registered with the base station, and accordingly that pseudo random code is simply been processed by the base station. So that is how the pseudo random code is processed for the system. Okay, so these codes can be called as a spreading codes, because these codes are going to be predefined codes, something like encoding. So this kind of a process is known as channel encoding. So it comes under the channel encoding techniques. The code division multiple access really enables us to have a channel encoding techniques. We encode the channel and we transmit the signal. So, and we decode the signal based on the channel encoding techniques. So thereby we can really going to achieve a high performance of the system. Every user is going to really get a feel that he is getting a noiseless signal transmissions and receptions. So that's what the feeling we're going to have. And one of the example is going to be the Walsh codes. So we don't have these different codes in syllabus, but only for example sake, you can just write it as a Walsh code. Okay. But the only problem here is in the case of this particular CDMA technology to implement, these codes are normally going to get transmitted by following the orthogonal properties. So as two signals are going to be orthogonal, if that means here C of I, C of k will be equal to 0. That means you have to use a signal property such that two signals are going to be orthogonal. Means what? If you multiply these two signals, it should result into 0 for all the various combinations of I and k. If I and k is not equal to 0, if they are, if the product of these two signals is 0, then what we say, these signals are orthogonal to each other. So orthogonal signals have been taken to avoid the interference. So that's what the important point here, which you have to bother about. Okay, so how Walsh codes are implemented? Similar to the above diagram, we have a y of n, which is a signal, and a summation is followed here. Summation is going to be the something like b1, which is the channel coefficient. C1 C1 of n is nothing but the code, which is nothing but the Walsh code or CDMA code, and b1 is nothing but the coefficient, that is the coefficient of the received signal, and like that we can extend and we can just simply decode the actual signal from this particular Walsh code. Okay, so this is the schematic diagram of the processing of the CDMA kind of a technology. So you need not explain all this particular codes and all. Just you have to explain about what is CDMA and what is the example of CDMA and what is the basic structure of the CDMA. That's all. So all these things we need not explain because we have just a CDMA technology in the syllabus. So you should explain CDMA technology. So you can take the some of the pros and cons of the CDMA technology in terms of properties of the Walsh codes. So synchronization of all users are normally required in the case of Walsh code. So here, because synchronization means what? Different users are identified with different codes. So therefore, synchronization is obviously achieved here. Okay, so that means very quick jumping, very quick processing from one system to another system is simply avoided here because of this Walsh code. So in a multipath channel, delayed copies may be received, which are not orthogonal any longer. So if the channel is going to be multipath channel, then the signals which are received by the receiver may not be orthogonal any longer with respect to each other. So what is the problem here is the receiver should receive the signals which are orthogonal to each other in order to process this. Otherwise, once again, interference is going to be an issue. The signal is going to be interfered in this in the multipath channels. Then we normally going to receive the error signals. So only J codes exist with the bandwidth expansion of J so as for the capacity. So we are right back where we started with the TDMA and FDMA. So if the what happens is here, if the number of codes exist with a bandwidth expansion, so as far as capacity, as the number of codes increases, then the problem of interference is also going to increase. Okay, in this particular multi-channel context. So if really multipaths are going to exist, once again the same problem of interference which is there in TDMA is going to be there here also. So multipath channel signal transmission should be avoided here. That is what the main concept over here. So advantages related to the TDMA and FDMA is what? No God bands are needed here. Okay, in the case of this, the next one is no equalizer is typically required when a rake receiver is used. So a rake receiver is a specialized receiver at the receiver side, okay, to process the CDMA codes. Now, one of the important limitation here is we have to have a very strong error correcting codes to make up the difference here. So we should have compulsorily strong error correcting codes, error correcting codes at the base stations. Now reverse link. So for Walsh codes, for a reverse link string means what? From mobile user to the base station is a reverse link. Forward link is base station to the mobile user link is going to be the forward link. So pseudo random codes are normally preferred, are normally used to transmit the signals. So here error correcting codes and pseudo random codes have been used by the Walsh codes. Okay, so these two are going to be the important things for us to handle with the CDMA kind of a technology. Okay, now another issue is going to be the near field regions, far field regions. So here many users may be received with the different power levels. So the users, these mobiles are moving, which are going to be around the base station. So some users are going to be nearer to this antenna, some users are far away from the antenna. So therefore different users are going to receive the signals with different power levels. So users near the base station are received with high power, users far away from the base station are received with a low power. So for a path loss exponent, for a path loss, for a path loss exponent of 4 and a cell size of 1 kilometer size, it is simply represented as something like this, as 1000 kilometers per 50 each system path loss. So to the power 4, when you calculate this, apply logarithmic scale, we get 52 dB path loss here for a 1 kilometer distance in terms of the far field regions. So here the problem is that power control systems has to be really very good in the case of the CDMA technology. In CDMA technology, as the the receiver mobile station is normally going towards far away region, then definitely the power loss is going to be more. So that means the power control systems has to be increased if you increase the CDMA kind of a technology. That means there should be some repeaters in between the areas of path losses to communicate more effectively with this type of a system. So now finally, what are the issues we can simply find out here in the case of CDMA? Tight synchronization is required to use orthogonal codes here. So that means there is no tight synchronization as far as the technological concerns are there, but there is a synchronization required to use orthogonal codes, which then break in a multi-path channel array. So here, once again, synchronization is required to use orthogonal codes, which then break in a multipath channel anyway. So that means synchronization is required for orthogonal codes. So that's what the thing which is going to be there. Quasi orthogonal codes causes the self interference. Quasi orthogonal means what? Unstable orthogonal codes are going to cause self interference, which dominates the performance in most CDMA kind of a technologies. So near far problem is a serious hindrance requiring fast and accurate power control systems. So the loss of the signal whenever near far regions are concerned is really going to be high. So that has to be really adjusted here, managed. And for all this, the required bandwidth is now J times the larger than it was before. So there doesn't appear to be a capacity gain. So here the bandwidth once again has to be increased to avoid the self interference, to avoid the synchronization for orthogonal codes. When you have to accommodate all these operations at the base station, once again the bandwidth is simply increasing here for us. Okay, so these are all the some of the drawbacks and some of the features of the TDMA kind of a technologies. Now what are the inferences that we can really brought about now? So this is what our cellular structure, basically cell 1, cell 2, cell 3, cell 4 in a cluster I can form like this. So when you really arrange system of CDMA in this particular format, then it turns out there are serious advantages to CDMA in a multi-cell system. What are the serious cell advantage? One is capacity, increasing of capacity. Unlike FDMA and TDMA, CDMA does not rely on the orthogonal frequency and time slots that are compromised by neighboring cells. So here time slots that are compromised by neighboring cells is normally achieved. CDMA systems can reuse frequencies in every cell. So here every cell is going to have, every cell can use the same frequencies here. That means the adjacent cells also, neighboring cells also can use the adjacent cells also can use the same frequency bands in the case of the CDMA technology. So thereby the capacity can be increased. So that means frequency reuse is really going to get increased by a factor of 4 to 7 in the case of the system. So if you have here cell, you have 7 cells here. So that means maximum up to 7 frequency reuses can happen in each and every cell. So that is what the increasing capacity in terms of providing services to many number of users. So these are the various advantages of this particular CDMA technology. Increasing capacity is one which is really can be done using the CDMA kind of technology. Now, what are the other voice related issues in terms of the CDMA and other technology like TDMA and FDMA? In TDMA and FDMA systems, if a voice doesn't have anything to send, the time and frequency is not allotted to them is wasted. See, because they normally employ static allocation, static bandwidth allocations. So what happens if the user doesn't have anything to send? Then those time slots, those frequency slots allotted to the users is simply wasted. So it is typically very difficult to dynamically allocate time and frequency slots in the TDMA kind of technology. Now let us, when you come to the CDMA technology, if the user doesn't have anything to send, it causes less interference to other issues of the system. So that user don't send its code to the receiver, and hence that particular user's signal is not at all really transmitted, and it is not at all processed by the base station. So it really avoids the wastage of the resources. Typically each user needs to transmit less than half the time. So that means here on an average each user is going to transmit less than half the time. So therefore since interference limited, this doubles the capacity. Interference is also limited, interference is there, and the capacity is going to get doubled because of this performance of the systems used in the CDMA kind of a technology. So this is how we are simply going to the. So what are the performance, and one more antennas we can use to support the CDMA is going to be the sector type of the antennas. So the sector antennas is going to transmit signals at a wider sector of the coverage areas. So cells can use directional antennas to sectorize the cell. So that means here by taking three sector cells, each covering 120 degrees, antennas can cover all 360 degrees. Okay, so for CDMA, this reduces interference by a factor of 3. So for CDMA, this reduces the interference by a factor of 3 because of this particular concept. Okay, so now comparing the capacity of CDMA, FDMA, CDMA is very controversial because we are gaining in terms of providing services to many users. At the same time, utilization of the requirement of the bandwidth is still be like that. Overall system bandwidth, if you think about, then it is almost all going to coming to be same in terms of CDMA and FDMA technology. So therefore making a compromise between these two is really going to be a challenge in the market nowadays. So all 3G systems are using the CDMA technology for multiple access. For multiple access we use CDMA technology nowadays. So therefore what about the future of CDMA technology? So CDMA has overcome most cynicism to dominate the worldwide wireless voice markets. Then what about data services like scheduling and interference problems? So CDMA appears to be an underdog for 4G technology, but still it is in the race of improving its technology. So increased capacity by joint decoding, that is multi-user detection and interference cancellation is an issue. So research has to go on improve in the interference cancellation and multi-user detection systems. So applying CDMA to other applications such as optical CDMA, in the optical communication also CDMA can be implemented, and ad hoc networks also CDMA can be implemented, and dense wireless LANs also CDMA can be implemented. This is what the future research work which can be done. And principles of spectrum communication also CDMA can be really implemented. So this is with this as a research issues, we can simply end up with the CDMA technology now. So thank you very much for the today's session.